For today's video, we got some more Fortnite, and in this one I'm going to be showing you all 3 different effective builds you can use in the Horde Bash game mode, and I'm also going to be sharing some tips in regards to building as well as traps. One thing I should point out before we get started is that everybody's different. Everybody has a different power level. Everybody has different amounts of offense and tech, so the tips I'm going to go over may not be helpful for everybody, but if you're at or currently underpowered when compared to the husk power level, then you may want to try out some of these tips that I'm about to go over. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to go over are the 3 different effective builds you can use. This first one that you see here is the basic box build, and on top of that we have an inverted pyramid, and on top of that we have a regular pyramid with the corners opened up. And this is the build I've been using since I started playing Horde Bash, and it's a pretty effective build. And on this bottom level we have fully upgraded metal on these 2 sides. And on the back sides where the husks don't spawn, we have fully upgraded metal and fully upgraded stone. And the reason you want tier 3 metal or stone on this first level is because it can stop the smashers, which is going to give you and your teammates a little bit more time to kill them before he destroys your fort. Another tip I wanted to point out is that if you don't have enough to make tier 3 stone or metal for these 2 walls, then just put tier 1 metal or stone on these 2 walls and you can upgrade them while you're playing. I would recommend you do it that way instead of putting tier 3 wood on these 2 walls. When it comes to the traps that you use, you can either use wall launchers. They're pretty effective when it comes to pushing husk away from your fort, or if you think the husks aren't really going to be able to get to your fort because of the traps you're going to lay down, then you may want to use wall darts, because they can be triggered once enemies get within 3 tiles of the wall dart, and they have a range of 6 tiles. So if you have some layers in between your fort, then you may want to use wall darts, because that's going to help you take out the husk. If you don't plan on putting layers, then you may want to use wall launchers. Alright, so now that we finished the first layer, I'm going to go ahead and show you what we get on top, and I'll build a lot of this on top to help with the lobbers. As you can see, once we get above the first layer, we have a pyramid directly on top of our box, and this one's made out of tier 3 stone and metal. And usually once the lobbers show up and start throwing the purple projectiles, they usually land on this level. So I think once I get more materials, I'll probably put some small pyramid pieces on here just to add an extra layer. But if for any reason they do destroy this wooden layer right here, they'll still have to try to destroy this pyramid we have on top of our box. So yeah, that's how we built above the box. We also added some more layers up here as well, but the lobbers' purple projectiles usually don't make it this high up. So I guess this is more or less just for decoration, but I wanted to go ahead and show y'all that as well. And yeah guys, that pretty much sums up the box build. It's very effective. It's worked for me up to this point. Again, I've only gotten up to tier 3. Another thing you can do to make this box build a little more effective is to place this wall dart setup on each corner, because that's going to do damage to all the enemies that come close to your fort. So yeah, that sums up the first build that I made in Horde Bash. I'm gonna go ahead and destroy everything here and show you a couple of other builds you can make. Goodness, we're able to destroy everything quickly. Otherwise we'd be here all night. Oh, look at that. Look at that destruction. Beautiful. Now the next build I'm gonna go over is the pyramid build, and I'm sure most of y'all already know how to make the pyramid. The reason why the pyramid build is so popular is because when it comes to smashers, they don't actually destroy the pyramid. Instead, they'll just run over it. So let's say, for example, if a smasher runs towards your pyramid, instead of just running through it like he would a normal wall, he's going to run up it and run over it. And that's one of the main reasons why people like the pyramid shape. Another reason is because if you stand on top, it gives you a good view of everything around you, and you can see where the enemies are coming from. And yeah, those are a couple of the main reasons why people like pyramids. If you do decide to build a pyramid, make sure you try to use either tier 3 metal or stone. And another thing to do if you decide to build a pyramid is to put a layer within the pyramid. So put some floor pieces inside of the pyramid, and basically that's going to add another layer just in case the husks make it through the pyramid. And you see they have another layer to go through. So yeah, with that being said, the pyramid's good when it comes to smashers because they just run over it. And if the husks end up destroying some parts of your pyramid and making it through, you can put a layer on the inside as well to slow them down a little bit, give you a chance to rebuild. In my personal opinion, I still prefer to use walls on the outside of the pyramid, because that's going to allow you to put up wall traps, and it's also going to add another layer in between your fort and the husk. And again, just like with the box, you're going to want to use tier 3 metal or stone on the sides where the enemy spawn. And you can also put up ceilings around your box as well to give you some ceiling traps. That sums up the pyramid build. It's a really good build. Alright, now the last build I'm going to go over is the inverted pyramid. And first you're going to start off by putting a layer of walls around your fort. And the next thing you're going to want to do, if you have enough materials, is to put floor launchers on the floor around your box. And technically you could also use retractable floor spikes or wooden floor spikes. That's more or less up to you, but I'll explain why we're using floor launchers here in a second. But if I had to use any of the other traps, I'd probably use retractable floor spikes because they do more damage. And again, you're just going to put these around your box, and after you've done that, we're going to put an extra layer between the wall and the husk. And the way you can add an extra layer is by putting either stairs or a ramp roof piece. So we're going to go ahead and use a ramp roof piece and add that right there. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side as well. Another thing you might want to do with this build is to make sure these ramp pieces are tier 3, whether it's stone or metal. Make sure it's tier 3. And basically what this does is, because the husk can't attack your fort from these corner directions, they always have to go from either one of the sides or from the front or the back. So they're always going to attack this ramp before they can attack your fort. And when they get here, obviously the floor launcher is going to push them up into the ramp and going to push them back. And it's going to give you and your teammates more time to take out the husk before they get to your fort. Another reason I like this build is because if there's any blasters or laser faces, you can always jump behind here for some cover. If you do end up deciding to go with this design, another thing I would recommend you do is to put 2 walls on each corner, and on those walls you're going to want to put wall darts, because since we're using floor launchers, they really don't do a whole lot of damage. So we're going to try to add some wall darts to help out, and any traps that you have on your walls aren't going to do any damage as well because the ramp's in the way. So that's why I recommend that you put wall darts on these corner pieces. And technically you could also use wall darts when it comes to the pyramid or the box shape. As you can see, we also added a couple of ramp pieces on top, as well as the ceiling, just to help with the lobbers. Another thing you can do to help with lobbers is, once you have your roof set up, fully upgrade those as much as you can, and then put triangle pieces on top of those as well. And that's just going to add another layer that the lobbers are going to have to try to destroy before they can get to your fort. So yeah, that pretty much sums up the third build. Again, this one's called the inverted pyramid build. It just adds another layer in between your fort and the husk. And if you really want to fortify your base, then just combine all 3 of them into one. Put the pyramid on the inside, surround it with tier 3 stone or metal walls, and on the outside of the walls put an inverted pyramid piece. Another way you can help protect your fort from lobbers is to build a bunch of stairs. And I'm going to go ahead and do it here, but you're not going to want to do it here around your fort. You're going to want to do it like outside of your fort, in between the husk spawn and your fort. You don't want to do it on top of your fort. I'm just doing it right here because I can't build outside of my fort at the moment. But basically what you're going to want to do is just build a bunch of stairs outside of your fort like this, and you're going to want to build it in between where the lobbers are at and your fort, so when they throw their purple projectiles, it hits your stairs. And yeah, building a bunch of stairs like this outside of your fort can help protect it from the lobber purple projectiles. Another way is to build stairs, and once you build stairs to a high enough level, you can go ahead and pull out floors and just build floors all over the area, and then just keep building this layer further and further out over the lobber spawn. That way when they continue throwing the purple projectiles, it's just going to hit this layer of floors we have right here. So those are a couple different ways you can help protect your fort from lobbers. And the last thing I want to go over is to help protect your fort from sploders, because as we all know, sploders can do a lot of damage when their tanks explode. So I'm I'm gonna show you a quick tip to help you deal with the sploders. Now for those who don't know, there are 3 different types of traps that will ignite the tanks that the sploders carry. And those traps are wall dynamos, as well as ceiling gas traps and ceiling electric field traps. So if you're using these traps and a sploder walks through your tunnel, it's going to end up igniting the tank that he's holding, and it's going to destroy all of this stuff that you have built. So if you have a wave that has sploders, you do not want to use any of these 3 traps that we have right here. Instead, what I would recommend you use are wall darts and ceiling zappers for your wall and ceiling traps, because when the sploders walk through your tunnel and the wall darts and ceiling zappers do damage to it, it's just going to kill the sploder, and he's going to end up dropping his propane tank in your tunnel. And when it comes to floor traps, I don't believe it really matters which floor trap you use. When it comes to the sploder waves, I prefer to use wooden floor spikes because it slows them down and it allows my traps to do more damage. And again, these traps don't ignite the propane tank, so this is a pretty good setup when it comes to dealing with those sploders. And the last thing I want to go over is which materials to use, especially if you're low on materials. The general rule that I follow, not only with Horde Bash, but with regular campaign missions, is to use wood for your floors. And that's because the husks never really attack your floors. The only way your floors can get destroyed is from sploders or from lobbers, purple projectiles. That's the only way they can destroy your floors. As for all the other husks, they never actually attack your floors. So you generally want to use wood as your floor if you're low on materials. Obviously, you're going to want to use stone or metal if you have enough. But now for the walls directly around your fort, I would recommend that you use metal. But for other walls, like if you're building a trap outside of your fort, you're going to want to use stone for those walls, because oftentimes husks will attack your walls and you want your walls to have enough health. And when it comes to ceilings, I prefer to use metal. And the reason that is because when the lobbers start throwing the purple projectiles, I want my ceilings to have as much health as possible, because not only does it protect the ceiling trap that I have on my ceiling, it also protects the traps that I have on the floor as well. So yeah, that's the general rule I follow when it comes to building traps outside of your fort. Go with wooden floors, stone walls, metal ceilings, and yeah, that's just the way I prefer doing it. Anyways guys, just wanted to show you a couple of different builds you can make in regards to your Horde Bash fort, and I also wanted to share with you all some tips when it comes to making traps and protecting your fort from lobbers and propane tanks and all that good stuff. So if you have any tips in regards to builds, be sure to let us know in the comments below. And yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I'm A1. Thanks for watching.